Chapter 10 in Intro is talking about medical terminology. So this is going to be a little bit of a refresher for you from our medical terminology class. Pronunciation, word elements, and terms. So medical terminology can be fun, interesting, and challenging, as we've all come to realize from being in our medical terminology class. At first, I'm sure you all thought medical terminology was hard to learn because it's like learning a new language. But if we practice, it becomes easier and easier. So we need to learn how to build a medical term, how to pronounce it, and what it means. Pronunciation can be quite important. If you have never heard medical terms pronounced, they may seem difficult. So we need to follow some of the hints to help you pronounce the terms correctly. When we see CH, that's going to sound like K. When we see PS, it sounds like S. C is going to sound like a soft S when it comes before E, I, and Y. G sounds like J when it comes before E, I, and Y, and then I is going to sound like I when added to the end of a word to form a plural. Forming medical terms from word elements. So medical terms are words that consist of several parts, as we've learned. All the medical terms have a word root. Most medical terms are going to have that word root and a prefix, a combining vowel, and then a suffix. In some cases, a word has only a prefix or suffix added to that root. When you add different prefixes and suffixes to the word root, you can change the meaning of that medical term, so we have to be careful with that. The combining vowel makes that word easier to pronounce. The combining vowel is usually going to be an O, as we've seen. For example, osteo. When the suffix begins with one of the vowels, A, E, I, or O, or U, the O on the root word is not used. The combining vowel is placed between root words. For example, osteoporosis. The following words are examples of word elements that have been combined to form a medical term. So, adenopathy, hepatoragia, polyarthritis, and so on. Changing words from singular to plural. So we use the rule for changing words from singular to plural that applies to the language that word comes from. So example, the English word wavelength adds an S to become wavelengths. Since many of our medical terms are going to come from Greek or Latin, we use these following rules. So add an E to a word ending in A. For example, axilla to axillary. We're going to drop the AX at the end of a word and add ACES. For example, thorax to thoraces. Change the X to G in a word that ends in NX and add ES, for example, flanks to phalanges. And here are some more examples of changing words from singular to plural. So understanding medical terminology really involves knowing the prefixes, roots, and suffixes. They make it possible to write and decipher common medical and dental terms. So for example, if you come across the term tendinitis, you can identify the root as tendon and the suffix as itis. Because this suffix means inflammation, tendinitis must describe an inflammation of the tendon. Looking at abbreviations. Abbreviations are the shortened form of words. They are an efficient way of communicating quickly and concisely with other healthcare workers. Always use standard medical abbreviations, which have been agreed to by the medical and scientific communities. We can't just make up our own abbreviations. We have to use those standard abbreviations. We need to know the do not use list as well. That was developed by Joint Commission and can be seen on their website. Again, never make up our own abbreviation. Be considerate about when you use an abbreviation. Remember, your patients, they're not going to know what those abbreviations mean.